Okay, so this is going to be a live reading of the Parmenides starting today at 126, which it begins with Cephalus. And the idea of this is to go through the text, but also stop at parts that I don't understand and trying to explore it a bit to see if I can get any further understanding. The text I'm using is translated by Juan and Maria Balboa, and thanks go to them and to Pierre Grimes for producing this and making it available under the Creative Commons license. Cephalus. Immediately after we arrived at Athens from Clazomenea, the place of our abode, we happened to meet with Adamantos and Glaucon at the place of assembly, the Agora. And Adamantos, taking me by the hand, said, Welcome, O Cephalus, and if there is anything thou needs of those we have here, of which we are able to provide, please ask. Then on the one hand, I am certainly here indeed for this very same thing, by being in need of your help. Please tell us your need. What was the name of the brother of your mother? For I do not remember. For at the time he was just a child when I came here before to the assembly from Clazomenea. But since that time a great length of time has already taken place. But his father's name was Pyrilampes, I believe. Quite so. To be sure, but what about him? Antiphon. But what is that? What is it that you need most to inquire after? Thou knows that these fellow citizens of mine are quite philosophical, and have heard that this very Antiphon was frequently present with one Pythodorus, the companion of Zeno, and that he treasured in his memory the logos or discourses which Socrates, Zeno, and Parmenides had with each other at that time, having been often heard from Pythodorus. You speak the truth. Now then, we are in need of hearing these logoses. But this is no difficult matter to accomplish, for the young man has made them the subject of quite focused attention, and indeed, after that, he now applies himself very closely to horsemanship with his grandfather, who also has the same name. Then if we must, let us go to him, for he just now went home from here, for he lives very near, in Melita. After we had thus spoke, we proceeded to the house of Antiphon, and we found him at home, handing a bridle to a coppersmith, to be prepared in a certain way. But as soon as the smith was gone, and his brother had told him the reason for which we had arrived, he also recognized me, in consequence of my former journey to this place, and he greeted us kindly. And upon our pleading with him to relate the logoses, or discourses, at first he hesitated, for he said it was a great deal of work, but afterwards he most certainly set it out in detail. Therefore Antiphon said indeed that Pythodorus spoke to say. Perhaps I'm just going to go through now and just outline all the different characters just to get my head round who's here. So it begins with Cephalus. So Cephalus has gone from Clazomenea. So you have Cephalus, who's come from Clazomenea. And he's gone to Athens. And then here in Athens, perhaps I should put these in a different color. And you got adamantos, and glaucon at the agora. And so then he speaks to him, and Adimantos asks if he needs anything. That's from Adimantos. And then Cephalus wants to know the name of the brother of the mother. So he's got a mother who's got a brother. So that would be his uncle. What was the name of the brother of thy mother? He was just a child when I came here, so he's been to Athens before, and he was a child. But his father's name was Pyrilampis, I believe. His father? Him? Is that Pyrilampis? I'm not sure who he's referring to. Let me just check my other translation. Your half-brother on your mother's side. Well, that's different. Half-brother on your mother's side would be different for the brother of the mother. Your half-brother, so, this potentially could be wrong. So we don't know if it's this here or whether it's a half-brother, depending on the translation of Adimantos. In any case, what is it that you need most to inquire after? Right, so Antiphon. So whoever this guy is, whether it's the half-brother of Adimantos or the brother of the mother, he is called Antiphon. And Antiphon knew, look how Pythagoras, it gets quite convoluted. I don't know why. I am assuming there'll be a point to this. But I'm going to map it out anyway, just in case there's some relevance later on that might become apparent. So this antiphon is frequently with Pythagoras, and the Pythagoras is a companion of Zeno, that he treasured in his memory the Logos discourses which Socrates, Zeno, and Parmenides. Right, so then you've got these discourses. You've got Socrates, Parmenides, And Cephalus, I think, wants to know what these discourses were. So then they go and try and find Antiphon, who lives in Melita. I'm assuming that's a part of Athens, because he says he lives very near in Melita. Then they go to his house, and he's no longer, well, he's involved with some kind of horsemanship. So they arrive, and then they ask Antiphon to recount that Pythagoras spoke to say. Now, Pythagoras was a companion of Zeno. So he's going to be the one relates the story. And he relates the story to Cephalus. So that's whose house they've gone to. And he's got horses. Right, so then this is Antiphon at 127b. At that time, Zeno and Parmenides arrived to celebrate the great Panathenaea. Thus, on the one hand, Parmenides was already quite well advanced in years, very grey-haired, but of a beautiful and good appearance, most nearly about 65 years of age. But that, on the other hand, at that time, Zeno was nearly 40 years old, but very tall and graceful to see. And he was said to have come to be the dear friend of Parmenides. Right, so you've got Parmenides and Zeno, who are friends. And they've both gone to Athens for the celebration which was called the Panathenaea. And he was said to have come to be the dear friend of Parmenides. Then Pythagoras said that they lodged with him in the Ceramicus outside the walls, where indeed Socrates also arrived. So they're in Ceramicus, where there's a house, and this is the house of Pythagoras. And who was he again? Pythagoras is Antiphon's friend. Right, so this is also where they're staying, in Ceramicus. So there they are, lodged by him, so they've gone there. So there's Pythagoras, and then you've got Parmenides and Zeno. And also Socrates. And many certain others with them, who had set their heart upon hearing the written discourses of Zeno, for at that time they first began to pay attention to his writings. Right, so they've come to hear him talk, and a few other people. Since Socrates was very young at that time, Therefore, Zeno himself read to them. Right, so he's reading to them. While Parmenides happened to be outside, so that only a small part of the Logos still remained to be read. When Pythagoras himself, together with Parmenides, came in from outside, and also Aristotle, so you got Parmenides, Pythagoras, Zeno, Socrates, a whole load of other people, but also someone called Aristotle. Aristoteles, who himself became one of the 30 tyrants. Okay. So that they still had to hear some small parts of the writings, not, however, Pythagoras himself, since he had indeed heard the discourses of Zeno before. Yes, because he's friends with Zeno. Therefore, Socrates, having listened, he then urged him to read again the first hypotheses of the first discourse, and having been read, Socrates said, "In what way do you mean this, O Zeno?" So this is the first hypothesis of Zeno. At 127e. In what way do you mean this, O Zeno? If the beings are many, is it then necessary that they be both like and unlike? If the things that exist are many, is it necessary that they are both like and unlike? Right, so if things are many, if things are many, in existence, is it then necessary that they are both like and unlike? Like and unlike? Question. But this is certainly impossible, for it is not possible for the unlike to be like, nor for the like to be unlike. You do not mean it in this way, do you? So is it then necessary that they are both like and unlike? But this is impossible. So both. And Socrates is saying that this would be impossible. And Zeno replies, yes, in this way. I'd like to check my other translation. 127e. Then Socrates, after he had heard it, asked Zeno to read the first hypothesis of the first argument again. And when he had read it, Socrates said, Zeno, what do you mean by this? If things are many, they must then be both like and unlike. But that is impossible because unlike things can't be like or like things unlike. That's what you say, isn't it? Right, that is the same thing. So he's saying that's impossible because like things can't be unlike and but this is how Zeno does mean it. He says yes in this way. Socrates, is it not then the case then that if it is indeed impossible that both the unlike be like and the like be unlike, it is certainly impossible that many should also exist? For if many were to exist, then they would undergo impossibilities. Is this then the intention of thy reasoning, and no other one, than to struggle through all arguments to show that many do not exist? So, therefore, many do not exist. Now, are they all? Is it necessary that they be both like and unlike each one of these? Why couldn't that be possible? Because each thing is an object. Okay, so this is why not. Each thing, each of the many is an object. Therefore, all alike as objects. But each is a unique type of object. Implies all are unlike as unique. So I don't see why this would be impossible. If the many are, they would have to be both like and unlike. But following this, you could have a car that's, I don't know, a Ferrari, and a car that's a Mercedes, and they are both like in the sense that they are cars, but they also are unlike in the sense that they are a specific type of cars. And taking that in its most general sense, you could have this position that each of the many things is an object. So I wonder why he says that it's impossible, and whether that will become clear as we carry on going through. So is it not the case then that if it is indeed impossible that both the unlike be like and the like be unlike, it is certainly possible that many should also exist? For if many were to exist, then they would undergo impossibilities. Is this then the intention of your logos or reasoning, and no other one than to struggle through all arguments to show that many do not exist? And do you consider each of your reasonings or accounts or logos to be a positive proof of this thing, so that you are also led to think that you have produced as many positive proofs as you have composed discourses to show that many do not exist? Do you mean it in this way, or do I not understand correctly? Zeno: no other way. You have understood quite well the intent of the whole work. So the whole work is to show that the many do not exist. So this many do not exist. Zeno says that that is the intent of the work. I understand, O Parmenides, that Zeno does not only wish to be situated in the other close bonds of friendship with thee, but also to agree with thee in the following writings. For he has written in the very same direction as you, although by changing certain particulars he endeavours to deceive us that he asserts something different. For on the one hand, you say in your poems that the all is one. The all is one. And that's what Socrates is saying to Parmenides, and saying that Parmenides has written in poems. The all is one. And you produce sound proofs in a beautiful and good way in support of these hypotheses. But on the other hand, he says in turn the following, that many is not, and then he produced very many and very mighty positive proofs. Therefore, on the one hand, you affirm that the all is one, but on the other hand, he denies that the all is many. Okay, so basically he's contrasting these. Are Parmenides, so Parmenides is saying the all is one, Zeno is saying many do not exist. Are they saying the same thing? And then he produced very many and very mighty positive proofs. Therefore, on the one hand, you affirm that the all is one, but on the other hand, he denies that the all is many. And in this way, almost saying the same thing, each one speaks so as to appear not to have said the same things. Thus, the latter logoses are revealed to us to be said in a way that is above and beyond our way of speaking or understanding. Yes, O Socrates, so it is. But you have not perfectly perceived the truth of my words, although, just as Spartan hounds, you have indeed well pursued and tracked their intent. But in the first place, this remains unnoticed by you, that the written words are not in every way so venerable, so that it was written, as you say, with the intention of hiding from humans, as if I was doing something of great importance. But on the one hand, thou hast spoken of those things which happen to be the case. But on the other hand, the truth of the matter is indeed that these writings were composed for the purpose of providing a certain assistance to the Logos of Parmenides against those who try their hand at comically representing self, by asserting that if the one is, many ridiculous and opposite results happen to the self Logos, or to the Logos itself. So he's writing this as a defense. Of Parmenides. Because he's saying he's going to provide a certain assistance against those who try their hand at comically representing him. So people are comically received. And they say that by asserting that if one is, many ridiculous and opposite results happen to the self Logos. Truly then, this writing contradicts the advocates of the many and opposes this and many other such opinions. By being willing to make clear that the hypothesis that asserts that many is, will undergo or experience even more absurd consequences. So this results in more absurd results. Therefore, it has will undergo experience even more absurd consequences if you think that many do exist or the one is not, than that which asserts that the one is, if any of them is sufficiently gone through in detail. Therefore it has escaped your notice, O Socrates, that this reasoning, which was composed by me when I was a youth, through such a thing indeed as the love of contention, and the writing itself was stolen by someone, so that I was not able to consult if it should be brought out or led into the light or not. It has escaped your notice, I say, that it was not composed by the love of honour. All right, here we got love of contention, and here you've got love of honour. It was not composed by the love of honour, which belongs to a more advanced period of life, whereas by a juvenile love of contention, philonekias. So if philo is love, then nekias, contention. I'm not sure. So he's written this book and he's coming to the aid of Parmenides with it. And when he began writing it, it was through a love of contention. Right. Although, just as I have said indeed, thou dost not conjecture amiss. Socrates, I admit it then, and I am led to believe that the case is just as you have stated it. But explain to me about the following particulars. Do you not consider that there is a certain idea or species of likeness, eidos homoiotetos? That's homo is like homo, as in homogeneous. Does thou not consider that there is a certain idea or species of likeness, self according to self? Right, so there is he's now offering the idea of likeness. And another one such as this but opposite. That is in turn an unlike idea or species. That's from Eidos. But that you and myself and all the other beings which we surely call many have a share of these two beings. So this is still Socrates. So all these beings have a share of one and two. One and two. and so on. So if they have a share of them, so the particulars share of the ideas. But that you and myself and all the other beings, which you surely call many, have a share of these two beings, and that on the one hand, those that share of likeness become like, and according to that degree that such beings may share in this, but those that share of unlikeness become unlike, but those that share of both become both. Therefore, if all also share of both opposite beings, and are both like and unlike their selves by participating in both, then what is wonderful? For if on the one hand one brings to light that the like selves become unlike, or the unlike selves become like, then I think that it would be monstrously absurd. But if, on the other hand, someone were to bring to light that those that participate of both of these ideas undergo both of these conditions, then, as far as I'm concerned, O Zeno, it does not appear to be out of the ordinary, nor indeed if anyone would show that all are one by their participation of the one, and that these same things are many. Okay. Well, I know this is a brief start, but I wanted to make a start, and I'm going to pick it up from 129b next time. I'd like to go over that again and really try and hone down what it is that he's saying here.